Welcome back everyone to ZumaFan. So I had just seen the first episode of Search and Rescue, and I'm going to be honest, this is not going to be like a long review or anything like that. I'm just going to give my thoughts and that'll be it. Because I am quite honestly really disappointed with this episode, and not much happens. I think that that's probably the reason. I really expected there to be something more to this, but there isn't. So why the Paw Patrol have new gear, new vehicles, new station, there's no explanation for any of this. So the whole plot revolves around this bike race, and I found this whole thing just to be ridiculous and stupid, of course, and we have like these two robot characters who show up, and they're the ones who cause a problem as they use the bike to like go super speed or whatever, and they crash into a lot of things and just create some havoc. And that's basically the episode, is the Paw Patrol having to deal with these robots when they easily could have been taken care of. Chase could have done it all by himself, but instead he doesn't use his net, which the net can wrap around people. We've seen this happen many times, but he just doesn't do that. Instead, he just like follows them around rather than just like wrapping them up, and it's honestly just ridiculous. And how it pans out the episode, of course, it gets you that time, but like if this was anywhere in the previous episodes, this is probably something he would have done, so I don't know why he doesn't do it. But as dumb as the plot is, I think that this episode does something even more stupid than that. More than the mission, more than everything else, and it all has to do with Chase. So of course, since Chase is the police dog on the group, of course he would be the one that they would mainly focus on. But what they decide to do with him is give him almost like this arc, and I'm going to be honest, I think that this is like the dumbest decision that they could make. In concept, I like what they wanted to do, but in execution it's just terrible. And this has to do with him basically like trying to do things by himself. And of course, in classic fashion, they just kind of have him mess up multiple times, so he's like, oh, I had to call for help, I need my team. But it's like, you don't have to do any of that. As I mentioned before, you could easily just wrap them up inside of your net, but he just doesn't do this. This is just a decision that he doesn't think of. So in a way, they kind of just make him stupid in order for him to develop to accept his team, which I already thought that he would accept his team. It's even weird to begin with, because Ryder's just like choosing the team members as he usually does, and then Chase just, once he gets chosen, he decides to like walk off and just do things by himself, which makes no sense whatsoever, because he knows the process of these things, that Ryder chooses all the pups, then they all go. But then for some reason here, he just decides to start walking off by himself and do things alone. And they barely did anything to justify why Chase feels this way, and I think the thing that they tried to do was like, oh, well, Chase promised that everything would be fine. He gave his word, so he felt the need to be the one to fix all the problems. But I don't know, I just find that honestly just like a stupid excuse for it. Like, what is wrong with having your team help you out? Why does he put that responsibility on himself? That is interesting, to have him almost have like a bit of an ego trip with the power that he has, and assume that he is capable of doing all things without the pups, almost wanting the glory of it. Even if I would disagree with that kind of development, because Chase doesn't seem like that type of character, that is a way to go with him for something like this, but they don't do that. And this is sort of the problem when it comes to reviewing this episode. Not much actually happens. You had the bike racing problem, and then you the development character arc thing that they give to Chase. And not much happens during the bike chase. That's literally all they do, is they just chase the bike around. And the chase arc, as I mentioned before, is dumb to give him hit, but you could have done something with it that's better than what they did. But instead, they chose the worst possible things to do. They just dumb him down just so that this thing can work, so you can't even enjoy that. So this episode just feels absolutely worthless. And since there's no excuse or reason for why the pups need to be police, it just makes it even more pointless, because they could have easily just handled this problem with their normal stuff. But I might as well list off some of the positives. They're short, but you know, they're still there, so might as well. I think the animation is just gorgeous as always. Ever since they made the change from the original animation to this new one, I've just been impressed with every episode so far. The voice acting is really good by everybody. Really enjoyed the new voice actor for Rocky. I think he does a good job. The outfits, gear, vehicles, and even the new police station, I think, are wonderfully designed. I've talked about them before in other videos, but I still think that they surprise you with how beautiful the designs are and the textures of everything. It's just wonderful. I do appreciate the fact that the writers wanted to give Chase an arc, because a lot of the previous episodes and writers for the show never wanted to do anything with the pups, so I appreciate that they want to do something even if they fail miserably at it. And that is it. There's not really much to talk about in this episode. Everything basically just fails. It's boring. Not much happens. And yeah, I'm just really disappointed by it. I'm way more disappointed at this than I was Fire Rescue. And I didn't like Fire Rescue, as you all know. The review is still up. But yeah, this one is far worse. They did absolutely nothing to justify why the pups have to be police. And hopefully in future episodes they do that. But for the very first episode, I thought that they would at least do something that had anything to do with what police deal with, but they could not do that. So if you enjoyed it, that's great, but I didn't. But anyways, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know how you felt about it down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you later.